Has the president ever disavowed his campaign statements? Has he ever stood up and said, I said before I wanted to ban all members of the Islamic faith from entering the United States of America. I was wrong. I've consulted with lawyers. I'm now addressing it simply to security needs. Has he ever said anything approaching that?
Yes, Judge Hawkins, he has said several things approaching that, and I think it's detailed in various amicus briefs. The best one is probably the Southeastern Legal Foundation brief, and Part 3 walks through the comments and shows that over time the president clarified that what he was talking about were Islamic terrorist groups and the countries that shelter or sponsor them. And so what the president found was he said, look, I find that it would be detrimental to let in their nationals for a brief period of 90 days while I ascertain whether the vetting procedures that we have in place for these countries are actually adequate. So he wasn't saying, I find that it would be detrimental because they're all dangerous or they all are potential terrorists or anything like that. He was saying in the face of uncertainty about whether we're getting good information from their governments so that we can screen them out in the visa process, I'm going to put a temporary hold subject to the visa waiver.
Okay, Counsel Kacha.
Start with Judge Hawkins' question about the Establishment Clause. You asked my friend, Mr. Wall, has the president ever disavowed all of these statements? And I thought his answer was surprising because he couldn't actually point to you any disavowal. He just cited en masse amicus briefs because the truth is there is no such statement. We give you chapter and verse the things the president has said. The district court gave them to you as well. They're both pre- and post-inauguration. There's not just one.
Barred from issuing an executive order along these lines? What is the...
If you rule for us, you leave intact the president's powers, including every decision that every president has made in our lifetimes, and you preserve a status quo that has existed for decades. If you rule for him, you defer to the president in a way that history teaches us is very dangerous. You open the door to so much. As Justice Jackson said in the context of the First Amendment in a religious freedom case, quote, the First Amendment was designed to avoid these ends by avoiding these beginnings. Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Because again, I think there's bad faith even past that. First of all, I think the president, our Constitution and laws are better than this. Our founders wanted America to be a beacon on our coast, and that beacon at the end of the day is not the quality of our sports teams or the quality of our soil. That beacon ultimately is the majestic Article 3 and the grand contours of the First Amendment. We ask that the district court's ruling enjoining this unconstitutional and un-American executive order be affirmed.
Solicitor General Wall.
I'll wrap up in the same way. Yes, we did say to the Fourth Circuit last week that the precedent set by this case for the judiciary's role in reviewing the president's national security and immigration authority will long transcend this debate, this order, and this constitutional moment. Counsel is right that this country is a beacon, but what makes it a beacon is the rule of law. Under the settled legal rules for justiciability, constitutional and statutory interpretation, and injunctive relief, what the president did here falls squarely within his constitutional and statutory authority.